too, because I sneezed like huge in the middle of the last one.
And sneezed all his thoughts out of his head.
Did. It was like such a huge sneeze. It was like a lung clearer. Anyway.
So we are.
So as we are recording this, and we record this episode about a week out from when it's going to drop, so maybe things will have changed by then.
I doubt it.
I seriously doubt it, but as we are recording this, we are currently in the midst of what is officially the longest writer's strike in Hollywood history.
Yes.
So, and the writers and actors are on strike.
Yes, SAG and the WGA are currently on strike.
Mm-hmm.
Which means not only are we in the middle of summer hiatus for a lot of our shows, but
a lot of them, it means, are probably going to be delayed.
Right.
By a pretty substantial margin. A lot of movies I've been reading have either been pushed back or out and out canceled. Like
right.
I heard that Disney has canceled the live action remake of Lilo and Stitch.
Oh really? I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah. So people are scrambling. I think last time we checked, and maybe we're wrong about this, one studio, and I think it's A24, has reached a tentative agreement. So
which is not surprising. That is the indie studios.
Yeah, and isn't that funny that it's the indie studio, the smaller studio, that was able to come to some kind of deal where the bigger ones are like being dicks?
Yeah, it's not really a surprise though.
No, it isn't.
But we are fully union backers at this podcast. Go SAG, go WGA.
Yep.
Though neither of us are part of either.
Are part of either one of those.
But maybe one day.
I had the option of joining the stage directors.
Oh, did you?
Union. And I opted out of it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So.
Well, you'd be on strike right now, honey.
Yeah, I would be. Well, it's a whole thing. But
anyway. So, in lieu of that, one of the things that we have heard from SAG and the people on strike is to not stop your streaming services, because showing that the streaming services are in high demand is one of the things that's going to give them leverage for negotiations.
Yeah.
So in order to show our support, but also to flag our boredom during the summer months, we have been streaming, binging some shows that are outside of our normal realm.
Yeah, and as the strike kind of goes on, as we said, a lot of your shows and some of your favorite movies are probably going to be delayed.
Right.
So you're probably gonna need something to fill that gap.
Right.
And I mean, and you can always listen to the Drive Home Reviews podcast. You can do that, but that's only going to last you a little bit.
Look, I love you and I love myself, but I would get tired of listening to myself talk that much, okay?
I've never had that problem.
I know. Anyways, so we have our regulars that we have been catching up on as they come out. Strange New Worlds, because we're Trekkies.
Yep.
Tried to True go to the Trek Fest in Riverside, Iowa.
Yep.
Trekkies. But also, which has been doing great thing. One of these days we will full on talk about Star Trek, but our other summer one that we've been keeping up with is Claim to Fame. That one you discovered, and it's become like a new obsession for us. Yes, that is we watch it that's one of the few that we don't let them stack up to binge.
Yeah.
We watch it as
So if you're not familiar with this show, it is a show where a bunch of people who have celebrity relatives are all in a house and they need to keep their relationship secret.
Right, they have to keep their relative, who the identity of their celebrity relative is, under wraps.
Yes, and everybody else in the house is trying to figure out. There are games that give you clues, and it is, it's freaking amazing.
And it's not, this isn't a Flava Flav, Brigitte Nielsen kind of celebrity. We're talking Brett Favre,
Tom Hanks,
Tiffany
Jimmy Carter.
Haddish,
Jimmy Carter, Eddie Murphy.
Like some very well-known.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, this isn't one of those things where they stretch the definition of
celebrity.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun to kind of play along with them, and so yeah, we're obsessed with that one. It's about our only dip into reality TV, unless you consider Drag Race reality TV.
Yeah.
But so like those are our regular.
So before we get into like some ones we've been experimenting with, what are your go-to streaming? Like, what's your go-to rewatches?
So my comfort viewing, I mean, my daughters and I tend to do sitcoms, and so we have a steady rotation of The Office, Parks and Rec, 30 Rock, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Friends is usually in there at some point. So we've rewatched those several times. But also, I have binge watched several times all of CSI, NCIS, and the Law and Order universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, in fact, I go to sleep to Law and Order SVU,
Yeah.
which Brandon's getting used to.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. It's kind of funny how, okay, let's curl up and relax to this show about child molestation. Good
It's
night.
not always about child. Sometimes it's domestic abuse.
Oh, well, that's much better.
Anyways, but what about you?
My comfort shows range a little bit to the other side. I find my animation
Right.
are my comfort shows. Futurama, Family Guy, American Dad, South Park, like.
Which I cannot stand.
I know. Yes, I know.
I stomach American Dad and Family Guy. Like, I can deal with those, but South Park is just like, that is my, yeah. You watch it with the girls, and I'll read a book.
That's fine. But like my other comfort shows are things like Frasier. House is definitely a comfort show. My ultimate one, Mystery Science Theater 3000. That is my. I can, regardless of the day I'm having, and you can tell the days when I just need to de-stress if I have to put on a Mystery Science Theater, just because I don't know, it takes the edge off.
Yes, unless you happen to be making out with your girlfriend and anticipating the jokes that are coming on and start laughing in the middle of it.
I was not anticipating the jokes. The jokes just hit me right then as particularly funny. Sorry, well, I mean, that's what happens.
Anyways.
So those are kind of our go-tos. Those are our,
Well, and of course Star Trek.
Yeah, Deep Space Nine especially.
But yes, since we've gone through all of those and we kind of still wanted to like branch out, we decided to spend the summer exploring new shows. Mm-hmm. So we started with Fire Country.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think about Fire Country?
Fire Country I thought was pretty good, if not, it's about as formulaic as a show about firefighters can be.
Oh, and some of it stretches so far.
Yeah, like, it's not a bad show. It's exactly what you need it to be,
Yeah. It's very melodramatic.
Yes.
It is very melodramatic. It is as soap opera-y as a show about, forest fighter convicts can be.
Yeah.
So, but with some good people in it. I'm not going to remember any of their names now.
I don't remember any of their names.
None of them.
They're none of them. The only guy I remember is the guy
who plays Bella's dad.
Yeah, who is also a firefighter on Lone Star 911.
Oh, that's some of our other shows too.
Yeah, those are
But I can't think of the names, but it was really decent. And I think one season and a half.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's still going.
Yeah. It's only had one season so far.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of we were aiming for, is shows that would be continuing.
Yeah.
So next we moved on to the
which they're going to do another one of those. So
Yeah.
that's kind of weird.
But Queen Latifah is amazing. Queen
Latifah is awesome.
Like, yeah, she is amazing. What did you think overall of The Equalizer?
I think...
Now, there's 2 seasons of The Equalizer.
Three.
Three. So...
I like The Equalizer when it's... I'm going to use the term monster of the week.
Right.
When it's... there's a case, there's somebody she's trying to help out, and...
It gives a lot of Angel vibes in that direction.
But when it starts getting in with her CIA, undercover...
Big bad.
Then I just tune out because it's always the same. She gets in, she does this, and then she's surprised when whoever the handler is betrays her or doesn't tell her everything. It's like, the fuck did you expect was going to happen?
Now, I will say one of the best parts about The Equalizer are its side characters. So, like, what's his name? Adam Goldberg as Harry, and somebody else his name, who's I'm not going to remember, but Mel and Harry, her sidekicks, and then her daughter, and then the amazing Lorraine Toussaint.
I like her more than anybody else. I like her aunt more than her daughter.
So really. I enjoy the stories with the
it's decent enough. Like I say, I like about 50% of it. When they get into the CIA, Black Ops, go cold, look out for this, then I tune out. It's just like, it's so much noise. But the stuff where she's helping people, like, I remember the episode where they were taking on the neo-Nazis who were targeting the Jewish neighborhood.
Yeah.
And she went and beat the shit out of a bunch of neo-Nazis. That was awesome. That was fucking great.
I always love when they're like, who do you think you are, woman? And she, like, kicks their ass.
She's like, I'm Queen Latifah, bitch.
But I also like, so Chris Noth was there in the first couple of seasons, but then it came out that, like, he had, somebody had filed charges against him for inappropriate behavior.
Yeah.
And so the show didn't fart around with it. They cut his
killed him off,
killed off the character, and then eventually brought in Donald Logg to replace it, which I just love when Donald Logg shows up into stuff. He just, like, you'll just be watching something and be like, oh, that's Donald Logg. Anyway. And I used to love him on that sitcom he did, Grounded for Life.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that's something else, kind of in the sitcom area. One of the things we went back and you introduced me to, Happy Endings.
Happy Endings. So, that one's off the air now, but it's on Hulu.
Yeah, it's had 3 seasons.
And it was great. Damon Wayans Jr.
Yeah, so if you're a fan of New Girl, you'll like this one, I think.
For sure.
So if you're a New Girl fan, and as you explained, this is, if you ever wondered why Coach was on the pilot of New Girl and then left for a while and then came back, this is why.
Right. Like, they didn't think New Girl was getting picked up, so he got picked up for Happy Endings. And then once Happy Endings was canceled, then he went back to New Girl.
Yeah, so. And it's a pretty funny show. Lisa Cuthbert of 24 fame is on that. She's very good. I think a very underrated actor.
So Adam Pally is on there. Like, I enjoy it. I think it's very, it does one of those things with the flashbacks.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those sitcoms and it plays flashbacks, kind of like How I Met Your Mother did.
Yeah, only the characters aren't reprehensible.
Right. I actually like the characters.
Yeah, I do too.
It was like, they really should have gotten more seasons.
Yeah, but sometimes we all want our certain shows to get more space, but sometimes I'm happy for what we got.
Right.
I'm happy it got 3 seasons. My best friend has a rule: he won't watch a show unless it's been on for 3 seasons.
Oh.
Because he doesn't like, because we used to do this whole thing, like when new stuff came on, especially Fox.
Oh, yeah.
We'd watch it and go, oh, this is great, and then of course they cancel it 3 episodes in. So he started with, if it's not on for more than 3 seasons, I'm not watching it. So, which I know saves him a lot of pain, but I do think you miss out on some things.
So we finished those, and the most recent one that we started is another that's only had 1 season so far, and that is Help Me Todd.
Yeah.
Marcia Gay Harden and Skylar Aston as a mother-son. She's a lawyer, and he is a private detective who works for her. One of the things you like about this is it's based in Portland.
Yes, it's not based in LA or New York.
Yeah.
You know, you're a little tired of shows always, and then on the outside, Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice to get that there are
happy endings with Chicago.
Yeah, it's nice that there are other places on Earth.
Right.
You know?
But yeah, this one it's a law show, but it's definitely one of those comedic law shows, more like Drop Dead Diva, or I don't even know what else I would compare it to. But it's definitely got a sense of humor. But it takes on some serious subjects too.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know. I found it pretty charming so far.
Oh yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're about a little over halfway through the season, I would say.
Yeah, I think so.
We've just hit Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so you can track the shows by what holiday they're celebrating on them.
So that one was pretty good. I don't know what's on our list for next.
I don't know. We'll have to see what's out there. Maybe we can try each other's shows.
Right.
I might make you watch Cobra Kai.
Oh, interesting.
Or, you know, well, here's one if folks are looking for something, and I'm not sure which streaming service it's on, but my parents just sent me the latest season of a long-running British show called Death in Paradise.
I think that's on Amazon Prime.
So if you're looking for something and you like kind of Agatha Christie fun mysteries, this is a really, really good series. It's also on PBS, but if you've never seen it, it's about a British inspector who goes to a small Caribbean island to become the new lead detective there and solve these very Agatha Christie-like murders, a lot of locked door murder cases. If you start at the very beginning of the season, there's been like 4 or 5 detectives by this point. They've switched them out. But it's a really fun, really good show, and I highly recommend it. While I'm on that, we'll see if you have any ones you want to recommend. And I'm not sure where you can find this one. Again, BritBox, but if you're a fan of Law & Order, you can try the British equivalent, and that is a show called Newtrix.
Yeah.
Which is, which they say that it's kind of their version of Law and Order, or it's on all the time. It was on for a real long time over there, especially given how short their seasons are.
Yeah.
And it is about a group of retired detectives who come back to investigate cold cases.
So do you know there was a Law and Order UK
Yeah,
too?
yeah, I remember that.
Anyways, if you got Netflix, there is a show called The Curious Creations of Christine McConnell. It is like Tim Burton meets Martha Stewart, with puppets. So there's only 6 episodes of it, and we've watched it several times. River loves it. There's also, of course, the Great British Baking Show is just comfort watching.
Yeah.
But another one of the shows that I love that you didn't think you were gonna like, but actually you started to enjoy, was Call the Midwife.
Yeah.
So
I like Call the Midwife. I'm not much for the gore.
right.
I don't.
And it's not so much that you see the gore in Call the Midwife, but you hear it.
Yeah.
But that one is still currently running. They have paused the filming of the latest season in support of the strike, I believe. So, but that one is still currently running. And I love the Britishiness of it, having the season plus a holiday episode.
Yeah.
So Britishy. So, but anyways, those are just a few of the things that we've been watching and just like to share.
Yeah. So this may be a time to. We all love our comfort shows.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with that. But this might be a good time, like we said, and like the people who are striking said, they want you to keep watching streaming. So this might be a good time to branch out and try a show maybe you missed,
Right.
or that you've always said, hey, that might be interesting. I should give that a shot. Or
Oh,
just,
if you're looking for something to watch with your kids, one that was surprisingly entertaining for Disney was the Doogie Howser remake.
oh, did you actually watch that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, takes place in Hawaii.
Yeah, I remember.
So the Doogie Howser remake was actually enjoyable, and of course Bluey. So
Yeah.
Bluey is always good.
Bluey is always good.
If you keep watching Bluey, then hopefully they'll bring some more of the Australian episodes over. So, but anyways, yes, those some things that we've been watching to support to our entertainers.
Yeah.
Who should be getting paid more than pennies a year for their streaming services.
Who was it that was saying that they got like 14 cents?
Oh, a lot of people,
For,
like the cast of Orange is the New Black. There was somebody else that was saying that sometimes his SAG or his residual account actually went into the negatives.
Yeah. So
but,
I mean, look, I know it's a new piece of technology and it's hard to kind of figure. This happens every time a new piece, but these folks did the work. They deserve to get paid.
Yes.
You know, they deserve to be able to eat, feed their families. I know it's easy to kind of say that kind of like when the football players went on strike. You know, it's easy to think that everybody in Hollywood is making millions and millions of dollars for 5 minutes of work, but that is the minority.
Right. I mean, how many, like, the majority of people we see on shows, and especially these shows that we're watching, if you look them up on the IMDb, it's an episode here, an episode there.
Journeyman, you know, doing like you say, like literally an episode of everything.
And they deserve to be compensated for that.
Yeah, and the writers deserve to be paid for what they wrote. I mean, I know it's popular, as they said in Sunset Boulevard, to believe that the actors get up on camera and just make it up on the spot, but they don't.
Well, after we come back from the break, we'll see if you think that the writers of the new Transformers movie deserve what they got paid.
All right, so we will be right back.
Transformers!
More than meets the eye, Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons.
I just love when you sing to me.
What's weird is that it's such a basic song, but it goes, like, it is in there, and you hear those first chords, and you're just like, yeah! Yeah!
Okay, Transformers. We hit a little bit on this in the last episode, but
Yes.
you are a Transformers boy.
I am.
Back in the day.
I am, and I feel like I need to clarify, because I know there's a lot of different versions of this. I am a Transformers Generation 1
Right.
guy. I am old school, the original cartoon, the original movie. You know,
you have a poster of the original
I do.
Transformers.
The movie, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I know there have been a lot of variations of it since.
Right.
You know, Beast Wars, which the characters from this movie are taken from, among them. But to me, Generation 1 was always the best. It was the ground layer, and that's the one I have the fond memories of. Those are my boys.
So the first movie, Transformers the movie, that was animated, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was Transformers. And as far as I'm concerned, the Transformers the movie.
Right.
It is the best Transformers movie ever, bar none, hands down, no discussion.
So that was the 80s. Was
Yes.
there a set of Transformers movies in the 90s?
No, there was nothing until the first Bay Transformers movie.
Bay.
And that whole series of abominations. I saw the first one and was so disgusted by it. I vowed, and I have never watched any of the others in their entirety. I've seen pieces of them here and there out of morbid curiosity on like TNT or something. You're like, oh, let's look. I watched maybe 10, 15 minutes. I'm like, and we're done.
I know that you have told me that you feel like everybody in a Michael Bay movie is covered in grease.
Yes, it is his. There are certain things, especially with his Transformers movies, that that you can just tell they are Michael Bay. You know, when I was in grad school, it's one of the things we learned first was how to identify the recurring themes in a person's body of work. And what does that say about their outlook on the world? Well, in Michael Bay's case, he loves to jerk off to the American military.
Oh, gosh.
Like, so hard. Everybody looks like they are covered with a thick film of grease and sweat and dirt. And the women are blow-up dolls.
Yeah, very sexualized.
Oh,
the
my
women
God.
in Michael Bay films are very over-sexualized.
And to a point, you like, you should feel dirty about it anyway. But I left that movie that first one feeling scuzzy. Like I had to shower. It was like, oh my God. Like, okay, yes, Megan Fox is an attractive woman, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like, I don't know why you would be trying to fix a car in a tiny, tiny little tank top and skirt. Like, you're gonna burn yourself.
I love how in the second one she's like working on a motorcycle, lounging on top of it like a fucking centerfold. Oh, this is how I always torque the engine.
Anyways.
It's like, God.
So you did not like, and then they brought in the Mark Wahlberg ones,
which are still the Bay ones, are still the Bay universe.
But then there was Bumblebee.
And for a moment, it looked like there was hope. Because Bumblebee, I still maintain, is a legitimately great movie. It is, and it was used as kind of a soft reboot, and I think that's something we should state, because this film is not a continuation of the Bay Transformers. This is a sequel to Bumblebee.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it?
Yeah, so this has nothing to do with any of the Michael Bay Transformers, which we'll still talk about, because even though that is the case, they still went with some of the same aesthetic.
Well, and I have read that he still has enough creative control over them that they have to get his approval on scripts.
They may.
So, yeah. And I could have read, like, that could have been a misnomer, like, that could have been a misprint, but, yeah.
But Bumblebee was legitimately good, and I think because it simplified everything down. Instead of these huge world-ending things, it was a story about a kid falling in love with Transformers.
Right.
Set in the 80s when the originals came out, and had Haley Steinfeld?
Oh, no, it's,
Hallie, the girl from Hawkeye.
Yeah.
I cannot.
It's Haley something with an S.
Yeah, who was a great actor. Had her in it, and it was just a really well done movie. And it also kind of gave a lot of us hope, because it's like, oh look, the Transformers look like they kind of do in the G1 models. So yeah, and then this happened.
Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld. I knew I was close.
So then we have, so this world, we're in the 90s now, 1994.
Yeah. Yes.
And, well, we start off previous to that by thousands of years,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Like the Manimals?
The Maximals.
The Maximals are, trying to keep the allspice or the
allspice. You won't get our fancy man spray.
The nutmeg or
all right, look.
Allspark.
Trying to keep the plot of trying to explain the plot of this thing. We don't need to bother. There's a MacGuffin.
Yeah, there's the glowy thing.
The bad guys want it to bring Unicron to Earth to eat it.
I kept in my head correcting to unicorn.
The good guys would rather they not do this. The the good guys show up, tell the bad guys stop being dicks. The bad guys say shan't, and of course there are humans mixed up in it. I mean,
right.
And they bring in the characters from Beast Machines or Beast Wars, and that's all we really need here. There's not a lot of.
So we have Anthony Ramos as our human.
Yeah.
Playing a veteran who's having a hard time finding a job. He's got a younger brother who has sickle cell, and their single mom is he's trying to help out the single mom, take care of things. So because he is struggling to find work, he decides to help steal a car, and that car turns out to be Mirage, played by Pete Davidson, who I love and you hate.
Yes. This is where things kind of go. I'm okay with them using Mirage, and I'm okay with them giving him a personality, because he really didn't have one in the cartoon. He was like, "Hi, I'm here. I'm Mirage. Buy my toy."
Yeah.
So I'm okay with them giving him a personality. Why they felt they had to give him the most annoying one?
I love Pete Davidson.
Like that's a mystery. It's like, why this?
I love Pete Davidson and his Jim Carrey quotes throughout this movie. So then, so they're trying to go get the allspice or the nutmeg.
It was the key.
The key.
How can you forget that when they say it every other word? Get the key! It's the key! Go get the key!
Anyways, Optimus Prime is not so nice in this one.
No, I think they're trying to differentiate from the Bay universe, because this is literally, if we're thinking of this as a new series, this is the first real stuff he's done in this series, because he was barely in Bumblebee.
Right.
He had kind of a cameo in that one.
And he's very anti-human.
Yes.
Bumblebee, of course, is not, because, Bumblebee bonded with
Haley
Steinfeld. Then we also have the character of Elena, who is she is an art historian, so she is able to help decipher the clues.
Yep.
For the things.
To where the MacGuffins are. So right off the bat, I think we should give the film some props. So this is light years still better than any of the Bay films.
Very much.
And part of the reason is our human characters are actually competent.
True.
Our female lead is not over-sexualized or
she's really not
objectified in any way.
No. They listen to her.
Yeah, they're minority leads.
Yep.
With a lot of screen presence and a lot of personality. I liked both of them.
Yeah.
In this, and they didn't look greasy.
No, they did not.
Anthony
Ramos is a very good-looking fella.
He is, and he's got a lot of screen presence.
He does.
Like a lot. Like I think they need to get him in more stuff. He's really good.
He's a good singer too. If you've seen, did you watch In the Heights with us?
No.
Okay.
So right there we have some much stronger human leads than I think we've had in any of the Bay films.
Right. When it comes to the actual machinery in this, and it's just because I was not a big Transformers fan, but it was a lot harder for me to distinguish between the good guys and the bad guys in this one.
Yeah.
They looked very similar.
Yeah, and I think that is a holdover, and this is an old complaint from longtime Transformers fans, such as myself, of these live-action movies, is that the character designs on them.
I get that they're trying to make them look less cartoony.
But I think the downside to that, especially in a big one like this where you have a lot of characters, is that, okay, we got to go back a little bit here.
Okay.
Back to the 80s. What was the purpose of the Transformers cartoon?
To sell toys.
To sell toys. To sell a lot of toys. And to do that, they made sure that each of the characters looked different and distinct,
Okay.
so that kids could tell them apart. You know, if you go and watch the original Transformers, the movie, even when scenes when there's a ton of characters on screen, by their shapes, by their colors, you can tell who's who.
Okay.
And I think that is a big problem that all of these live-action Transformers movies have had, is that the characters are not distinct enough.
They're really not, especially when you make Mirage silver.
Yeah.
Then he looks just like... they're not Decepticons this time, are they?
No, they're Terracolons.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So he looks just like them.
Yeah, exactly. And
So, yeah.
And I think...
hard. So when they have the big robot fights...
yeah,
it's
you
hard
can't
to...
tell who's who a lot of times.
Right.
You know, and I think that is... People like me, we just need to accept the fact we're never going to get a live-action Transformers movie where the characters look like the G1.
Right.
We're just not. We got it at the first 20 minutes of Bumblebee. That's all we're going to get. But if they had made Wheeljack look like Wheeljack, if they had made Mirage look like Mirage, Scourge look like Scourge, and I'm referring to the G1. I know they've all had adaptations and other incarnations. They would look more distinct, and it'd be easier to tell them apart.
Right.
You know, so yes, I 100% agree with you.
So how did you feel about the Maximals?
I thought they looked fine.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not as attached to them because, again, that was a cartoon that came out when I was in high school.
Right.
And like I said, I'm a hardcore G1 fan, so I never really got behind it.
Well, I enjoyed the voice actors.
Oh, yeah.
Michelle Yao and
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman as the Maximal characters, but
and of course the great Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, the only true voice of Optimus Prime.
He's been the one who's been voicing him forever.
He was the original voice in the cartoons, and he's done all the live action movies.
Interesting.
So he is kind of the voice of Optimus Prime.
So one thing I did not enjoy is that, on one hand, I enjoyed that they went to Peru, and I got to see some Machu Picchu type stuff, and llamas, and Peruvian festivals, but, I know it's bad enough when the big machines or the superheroes are destroying the cities, but just seeing, the ancient grounds and the mountains just being torn up by trucks and vans driving across them, not even when they're fighting or blowing things up, but just why are you leaving tire tracks all over Machu Picchu?
You know, the thing that kind of gets me about this, and about all the ones that I've seen, is it always feels like they don't take advantage of the built-in interest in the characters during the big fight scenes, that they can change from one thing to the next.
Right.
It's always, okay, we're going to fight, so our guns and our swords, well, why not do that, transform, run a bunch of them over, transform again, make use of the fact that you can do this.
Say Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the characters was doing that, changing into different things throughout the fight scenes.
Yeah.
That's so much more visually interesting.
Yeah, and that's, like I say, that's inherent in the characters. It's so why do you not do that?
I don't know.
But yeah, I definitely feel
it's interesting that the least interesting thing in this movie are the giant robots.
That has been the problem with these live-action Transformer movies, is that the Transformers are always the least interesting thing in their own movie.
Right.
Because the humans are always at the forefront. And again, the reason it worked in Bumblebee is because it was like an E.T. thing. It was one person to one Transformer.
Which I kind of feel like they tried to do with Mirage and Chris here. But it did fall flat.
Yeah, and again, it's because Mirage is a fucking annoying They made him a fucking annoying character.
I like Pete Davidson.
Right? You can like Pete Davidson all you like. It doesn't mean that the character was good.
So spoiler.
Okay.
At the end, Chris gets a job offer from G.I. Joe.
Yes. Oh, Jesus.
So one can only surmise that they're trying to push towards a G.I. Joe Transformer crossover and reboot the G.I. Joe kind of thing.
Yes.
Now, we've talked about issues with this.
Oh.
So I want you to kind of talk about why you were not allowed to watch G.I. Joe as a kid.
I was not allowed to watch G.I. Joe.
Your dad's Air Force.
Yeah, my dad is Air Force, former Air Force. And my parents, when new things came out up into a certain age, they would watch them first and then decide if it was something that they wanted me to watch. And they allowed me to watch the Transformers, but I was not allowed to watch G.I. Joe. And the reason behind it, which I did not understand as a kid, I was mad about it as a kid, because it's like everybody was watching both of them, and I wanted to watch both of them too. But the reasoning behind that is because in G.I. Joe, the 80s cartoon, it was war without consequences. That it was violence without any kind of reality grounding. They shot everywhere. They blew everything up. No one ever got hurt.
Right.
And it was very 80s America. War is good. War is good and fun and yeehaw, and the manliest of the men do it.
Yeah, G.I. Joe was basically straight from the Reagan administration.
Yeah, whereas Transformers, because they were robots, they showed them getting hurt and getting shot and getting damaged, and and anybody who knows the Transformers the movie, straight up fucking killed. Like, brutally gunned down. So they felt like the Transformers gave a more realistic look that this is not fun and good, and that people actually do get hurt.
Right. So they have tried G.I. Joe. Oh my gosh, my brain just...
Transformers?
Thank you. No, they have tried G.I. Joe
movies, yes.
Right? And they have not worked.
No. They have not worked at all. Nobody cares.
I think, and we were discussing this, I think that they would almost have to go full on cartoon alternate universe, like a Barbie movie, because otherwise it's just a military movie.
Yeah.
And it's a military movie
with people with stupid names.
With still like the cartoon sensibility, which means that it's taking itself too seriously, but also a military movie that doesn't have any of the questioning or moral grounding that a military movie should have.
Yeah. It actually would be interesting to see a G.I. Joe movie done in the spirit of the Barbie movie and a real examination of
PTSD.
Yeah, like G.I. Joe as a 80s franchise, and like, is this a good thing?
Right, like really taking apart, the good and the bad of it. Because and like you were saying, it's not necessarily all bad, because they did teach some lessons. They had the morals of the story. But I don't know, there's something about having a hero that is totally infallible, even though they're human, that is just dangerous.
And I don't know how well it would fly today, because again, the G.I. Joe of the 80s, it was a real American hero.
Right. The
thing of America's military is perfect and infallible and the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
And that's how we should measure our national greatness, by how strong our military is. You know, so I think for a G.I. Joe movie to work, like you said, they need to do it as almost a parody of itself, like the Barbie movie did.
Like a tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah,
really.
I think that's the only way it's really going to go, which people who grew up with it in the same way I grew up with the Transformers and Ninja Turtles would not like that, because then they feel it's being made fun of.
Exactly.
So it's a real catch-22.
Like, I don't know how they do it without... I don't know. I don't know how they do it without it taking itself too seriously.
Yeah, I agree.
So, so that'll be interesting to see.
So we got off on a bit of a tangent, but you know why? Because there's not much to talk about.
No, it's pretty straightforward. You know.
Now I will say this, and it's a minor thing I noticed. And this is I feel like these new movies, this movie in particular, is really at war with itself.
Not at war with the Vatricons,
the Terracons,
whatever they are.
Because it feels like it is fighting between the loyalty of wanting to give us all the nostalgia trip of the original Transformers and the gaudy aesthetic and the less loyal view of it from the Bay.
Right.
Like, from the Bay universe, you're still getting the bad character designs and the screen that's too full of action to really keep anything apart. But from the new view, you're getting like the Maximals all looked in the robot forms or their animal forms almost exactly like they did on the show. Optimus Prime, RC, even though she transformed into a motorcycle instead of a car, looked a lot like they did in the cartoon.
Yeah.
And there's even, I thought this was neat, Unicron has a music cue. It's like one of the first things you hear. Da, 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 da. And that's the music cue from Transformers the movie. That's Unicron's theme.
Oh.
So it knows enough to know to give you those needle drops that the real hardcore fans are going to pick up on. But then they still have the ugly aesthetic and some of the bad habits of the Bay universe.
It makes you wonder if it is still Michael Bay with his fingers in the pie and having a certain amount of control over it.
It does. It really does. And I just don't. I don't know. Like I said, I think fans like myself, we need to give up on the idea that we're ever going to get a live action film that looks exactly like the original characters and all that. We just need to be okay with that. We need to live in the reality.
Anything standing out that you want to complain about?
You know, I feel like we've complained a lot, so I kind of want to go the opposite way and say that for everything we've said, and everything is true, it's a decent enough little action flick.
Right.
It's not great.
No.
And it has a lot of problems, but I don't feel, again, comparing it to the Bay films, when I was done with it, I didn't feel like my intelligence had been insulted.
True.
I felt like, you know, it was about as goofy as it could be, and in some places it was actually entertaining.
Right.
So it is nowhere near as good as Bumblebee, but if you're looking for something like we were talking about with the writer strike, you missed something, you want kind of an afternoon waster.
Yeah.
You could do worse.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing I've seen all year.
And support Anthony Ramos.
Yeah, exactly.
Our lead roles.
Well, that and support minority characters in lead roles.
Yeah, I appreciated that they spoke Spanish with each other.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
So support minority characters in lead roles in big budget action movies. I think that's so. Yeah. So instead of I've bitched enough. It's more just a kind of a resigning to its fate at this point, and just kind of going, okay, this is what a Transformers movie is going to be. If this is what it's going to be, it's better than
what it was.
Yeah, exactly. It's nowhere near what it could be, but it's better than what it was.
Okay, so final grade.
Final grade. I was thinking about being generous, but I think I'll be honest. I'm gonna go C+. Like, it's a middle of the road. You know, there's nothing in it that it angers me to my very core, like the Bay films, but there's nothing really in it like Bumblebee or the original movie to make me go, oh wow, I've got to see that again.
Right. I'm gonna actually say flat C.
Flat C.
Because it literally is just average for me.
Yeah.
Like, nothing in it really stood out, but nothing in it pissed me off.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Don't seek it out, but if you're looking for something just to kind of whittle away an afternoon, then you can do worse.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I'm with you. All right, so there you have it. We're not sure what the next one will be.
I don't know. We'll have to see. We've seen all the movies in the small town theaters.
Yep.
So
So
far.
we're gonna have to like resort. Well, I've got a couple on DVD that I bought that I wanted to watch. I think there's some on streaming that are finally hitting streaming that we wanted to check out. So
and one of these days we're going to be able to find Theater Camp.
yeah, exactly. I've been waiting for that one. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what we see. But we will be back next week with another review. Thank you all for coming along with us. Thank you, my love, who can make even the Transformers a memorable afternoon watching movies. We made out during the movie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Great movie for making out to, because you don't really miss it.
Exactly. Yeah. You know. Yeah. You can. Yeah. It's wonderful.
Anyways.
So yeah. Anywho, so thank you, my love. Thank all of you, and support the strike, support SAG, support the WGA, and support them. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us, and as always, drive safe, and we will see you at the movies.